It's market day in Langenlois. As Austria's parliamentary election draws near, militants from the Austrian People's Party, the ÖVP, are out to convince voters to choose their candidate, 31-year-old Sebastian Kurz, Austria's current Minister for Europe Integration and Foreign Affairs. In this part of Lower Austria, Kurz's Conservative Party is expected to do well.
I'm from Langenlois. You know what that means. No further explanation is needed. Here a majority of people support the ÖVP, and that's fine with me.
Victory for the ÖVP seems assured if the polls are to be believed. Nevertheless, militants are keeping up the momentum in this small town of 7,000 people. Even an MP showed up to come and meet the crowds.
Because many people think we've already won, and they might think there's no point going to the polls. So we really have to stop that from happening and keep motivating people.
Despite the polls, the Conservatives still have their work cut out here in the countryside.
The problem is this.
The problem is this. You go and vote, but after the election, nothing changes. You don't know who to vote for anymore. Here in the countryside, either you cast a sympathy vote or a protest vote.
And there is much to vote against. We're off to the neighbouring town of Krems, famous for its wine, its university, its culture, and its high-security prison. People here are finding it difficult to trust any particular party. Frustration is high and motivation low. At the local pub, all political colours collide. Among this group of friends, some like Kurz's ideas, but others don't want to give him their vote.
He's a showman.
He's a showman, a real showman. They do a good job by going into small communities. But I don't have a high opinion of Kurz. For example, all his good ideas about migrants and hostility towards foreigners, he's taken them from Mr. Strache from the Freedom Party.
Walter comes from a conservative background. He says he plans to vote for Heinz Christian Strache and his far-right Freedom Party. His friend, a former social democrat, also has sympathies for Strache's FPÖ. But many remain unconvinced. Ulf Elser, who runs his own pharmacy, says none of the candidates have anything to offer.
All I see is political bargaining, but no real solutions, and no will to find solutions. Even in a European context, we act as if we're the lucky ones, but we no longer are.
Chances are high for a conservative far-right coalition. Would this be bad news for Austria's liberal voters? Not necessarily, says Christoph Stocker, a 43-year-old who works in an organic shop. He says a stronger far-right wouldn't be the end of the world for Austria.
I think the FPÖ would be both an advantage and a drawback for Austria. They're very much a right-wing populist party, but in my opinion, they're not right-wing radicals. So, to some extent, they absorb the radicalism we see in other countries. They cover the right, but also the centre-right, and so they prevent people from turning to the extreme right. This is an advantage. And then there's this typical Austrian relaxed attitude where people think things won't be as bad as what you think. Even if it's not said openly, migration and refugees are what galvanise people here. And it's what could determine the outcome of the election. Sebastian Kurz has made the issue his priority, and his victory seems already assured. But talking with people here also shows that quite a few remain undecided.
Philip Artelt, Euronews, Langenlois.